to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City. We're streaming on all social media platforms at Keys to the City, so you know the deal. Comment, like, subscribe, or share. The final day of 2021 as we move over to the new year. In less than over about 32 hours, we will be in 2022. So you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen. That means we are on the brink of another college football playoff Final Four. But this year is different, unlike any other year, because for the first time, we're not talking about, well, one of them's in there, Alabama, as always. But for the first time, we're not talking about Clemson. We're not talking about Ohio State. We are not talking about the Oklahoma Sooners. All three teams did not make it when had high expectations coming into this season. But look who do we have? Two unfamiliar names, two teams coming into the beginning of this year that had less than, boys, a 1% chance to even sniff, I should say, the college football playoff in Cincinnati and Michigan. These games, I cannot wait for them. These look like they could be on the brink of some classics. I know you get the nervousness of Alabama's playing a team that really doesn't get the respect that they deserve. They're a 13.5-point underdog in the Cincinnati Bearcats. And then you got the game at night, two teams that are so eerily similar. We're going to get into that. And plus, huge week in the NFL, week 17. There's a lot of underdogs, playoff caliber teams that are underdogs. Which one do we consider as the best chance of pulling off those upsets and shutting up the bettors? And finally, like I said, 2021 is coming to an end. We will be talking about our favorite moments from the 2021 sports calendar year. But let's get into the game tomorrow and the start of the college football playoff. I just said it's going to be something unlike we haven't seen so far in this early on stages of the college football playoff Final Four, soon to possibly be maybe 8. I hope to God it's only 8 and not 12, but we're going to see. We get the team that's maybe the hottest team in the past 2 years that just nobody wants to give them the credit for. The Cincinnati Bearcats against the champs, the defending champs. You know the dealio. You know the story. Alabama, once again, is playing for a right to be the national champions. And they are a 13.5-point favorite. Not the biggest spread in this college football playoff history. That was last year between the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Alabama Crimson Tide. So, boys, I'll start off with Ted on this. It's plain and simple. What does Cincinnati need to do to upset Roll Tide?
So how I'll phrase this, it doesn't really mean it'll be this way. I say it's very simple. If you watched a couple games that Alabama struggled, one, the game at Texas A&M, the game – he's throwing me all off with the screen.
Come on, man. You play with it. You got to go with it. You got to get the people going.
Well, I mean, we know what the game they're talking about. They don't need to see the two teams. They know
not everybody's a college football fan, bro. You got to remember that. They ain't like us.
Well, then they don't need to listen to this part and come back in 20 minutes when we're talking.
No, we want to be taught. We want everybody to watch.
Here's the thing. It's very simple. They have to put pressure on Bryce Young. That's the biggest thing. If you watch the game that Alabama lost this year against Texas A&M, Texas A&M was able to put enough pressure on Bryce Young to make him uncomfortable in the pocket. They were able to sack him. They were able to pressure him throws, and they executed offensively. It sounds simple in the thing. Hey, let's get pressure on the quarterback. Let's not turn the ball over. Let's run the ball. Let's use our athletic quarterback and Desmond Ridder, who can run the football. And if you've known anything in the history of Alabama, is they do struggle with athletic quarterbacks. They have. All right. Doesn't mean they can't overcome it because their talent is absurd, but. Let's use our athletic. Let's get them on the RPOs. Let's get them on waggles, bootlegs. Let's run the football with Jerome Ford. You know, he's a transfer from Alabama. You know, two huge guys, Jamison Williams, who's a transfer from Ohio State, who'll be playing, big impactful player for Alabama because John Mitchie's out with a ACL tear. Listen, run the football. Don't turn the ball over. Maybe make a big play on special teams. But here's the thing. Cincinnati, they've been here before. And when I say been here before, they played in a Big Six bowl game last year. They played against Georgia. Trev, you told me it was a walk-off field goal. I believe you said
It was a
Georgia
walk-off 50-yard field goal. Their only loss. They've won 22 of the last 23 games. Their only losses to Georgia last year in the Peach Bowl.
I don't think they're going to lack confidence. They're going to go in there knowing that no one except for them gives them a shot. It's me against the world. They just have to play their game, all right? What I will say about this is if you can take anything away from the Georgia game is I'm not worried about Alabama's running game so much. I know they can run the football, but it's not like the old years where I was worried about, Mark Ingram or Derrick Henry, Ed Lacy, all these running backs in the past where you were worried about their running game so much. It's about their passing game, right? Bryce Young, Jamison Williams, they're able to spread the ball. What Cincinnati does have is they have two exceptional All-American cornerbacks, one of them who won the Joe Thorpe Award. His name is Kobe Bryant, not spelled the same way. He'll be wearing number 8 in touch for Kobe Bryant. And Ahmad
Sauce Gardner, Ahmad Gardner.
There you go.
Both of them have been dominant.
And listen, if you put pressure on the quarterback, which helps your defensive backs, let those guys be impactful players, make plays, and play your game. Don't change from what got you here. Play your game. They're confident. They're talented enough to beat Alabama if they play their game. But if they start getting sloppy, they start trying to do too much. Desmond Ridder doesn't take what's there. Joe said something before we're doing the show about running the football, about controlling the clock. That same mythology that we've talked about with the NFL, and we'll talk about with other things. If Cincinnati can do that, they don't have to maintain the clock for 2-1 advantage, but just don't go 3 and out because this is what happened. Alabama comes out like Mike Tyson, and they knock you out, and it's 21-0 before you blink your eye, and it's over. You don't have a shot.
Yeah, they take the light out of you.
It's too much to overcome. So that's why I say Cincinnati be able to take Alabama's punch in the face. Because if you watch always the first games of the season or the big games, they come out, they knock you out before you even have a chance, and then it's too late to overcome it. So if Cincinnati can maybe jump on them 7-0 or 7-3, keep it a low score in that first quarter, keep that game in the 20s. Cincinnati have a really good chance to get to the national championship.
Now, Joe, I know you've been an adamant believer of the Cincinnati Bearcats when you were on last year as well, and now this year you have been. Are you still buying and believing in the Bearcats come tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern time?
I think Cincinnati is going to win this football game. And, here's the thing. Nobody's brought up the name Will Anderson, but Cincinnati's going to have to do their best to neutralize this guy. Because
he takes over games single-handedly, Joe.
This is the best defensive player in the country. It was an absolute crime that this guy wasn't at the downtown club for that Heisman presentation. He should have at least been in the building. I think that, Teddy, you said this before. I think a big momentum shift or a block punt, field goal, something, a pick six. Bama turned the ball over 10 times all season.
Yeah.
10 times. That's it. Cincinnati's amazing defense, 32 turnovers. So something's got to give here. And if Cincinnati's going to win, it's going to be a couple of turnovers. It's going to be, again, I think Desmond Ridder can really prove his worth as a quarterback. I think if Desmond Ridder was a better talent, I think people would have been taking Cincinnati a little more serious over the last couple of years, but this guy gets it done. He's not super spectacular, but he can be when he needs to be. But I really do. I think Cincinnati wins this thing super late, 31-28. I think they'll be trailing for a good part of the game, but I think they're going to do it. I think that this is, I love this. This is the two best winning teams over the last couple of years. And for these two teams to be battling it out, unfortunately, the semifinal round is a crime, but this is going to be an amazing game. I'm super excited for it. I'm
excited too. So I'm just looking at something, and from the last Ohio team to beat Alabama, and they were also a 4 seed. I'm just looking how they did it. This was the Ohio State Buckeyes. The year that they had, somehow they made it into the college football playoff. They ended up winning the national championship. Their third down efficiency in that game, Alabama was 2 of 13. Ohio State was 10 of 18. I think that's going to be a huge part in this game. They have to deliver when it's third down because you are going to get in these situations. And this is a Nick Saban team that we all know is always well prepared, always well coached and ready to go. And you just said Will Anderson. I'm glad you brought him up, Joe, because I know Aiden Hutchinson is a beast and he's been getting the credit and he got invited to the Heisman. But Will Anderson, boy, oh boy.
Trev, I believe Luke Fickell was on the staff of that Ohio State team for that game.
You might be right. But also another thing.
You may be right.
You may be right. Do you want to know also how they won? Ohio State, Alabama rushed for 170 yards. Ohio State ran for 281 that game. This is a team that likes to run the football, Cincinnati. Time of possession. Jerome Ford, who has excelled in this offense for the Bearcats, playing against his former team. And like he likes to say, I'm not a transfer from Alabama. I'm a Bearcat. And I respect that because he is a Bearcat and he has led and he has taken over games for this Bearcat team. I think the biggest thing coming down for Cincinnati, and Ted, you said it, you got to have a pass rush. I know everybody likes to say how valuable having a corner is, but guess what? When you have a pass rush, you don't have to worry about your secondary doing work. My thing comes down to this. This defense, here it is. Bryce Young against every incoming opponent this year, he is taking control. The last time we saw Bryce Young, he literally demolished the greatest defense that we've been talking about in college football in the Georgia Bulldogs. This is what it's going to come down to. They have two of the best corners, if not the two best corners in college football right now with Ahmad Gardner and Kobe Bryant. They have to get pressure on this offense. If they do not, and Bryce Young looks like the Georgia Bryce Young, then it's going to be a long day for the Bearcats. Yeah. But, Joe, believe it or not, I'm siding with you. I'm going with the Cincinnati Bearcats for the upset.
I love it.
I'm going with the Bearcats because, honestly, I don't want to see Alabama anymore. I'm sick of it, but I want to see the underdog. I really do believe this is a team that's saying me against the world going on. We're no roll tide this week. We're going roll
tide.
We
just
need
like
little brother. No, you know what?
Baby.
Do you also know why I say that? We need little brother to help out big brother because little brother is repping the state of Ohio. Big brother didn't do his job. Ohio State didn't do his job. They're not watching it. They're watching on the Rose Bowl. Cincinnati's going to do it for big brother. So I'm going with the Bearcats. I think this has all the makings of a classic. These two teams are stacked offensively and defensively. Great coaching staffs. Both teams will be. What are you laughing at?
Because it's going to be 21-0 in the first quarter. I'm like,
that's like my biggest thing.
Hope not.
You're right about that because we always talk about it. You hope for an amazing game. And then Alabama just sucks the life out of you immediately. And that's what they do better than any team has done since Saban has taken over.
Listen, I'll tell you right now, I don't think that – well, no, that's not fair to say because they just lit it up. But listen, hold on. Cincinnati's defense is I think, as good or better than Georgia's defense is. And especially when you consider that, listen – the bulk of the starters on this defense are the same guys that were on that defense from last season. And these guys have got experience. They got chemistry. They've been dominating for 2 straight years. So again, I mean, for everybody else, look, they're the underdog, and I get it. And they're, the AAC or whatever it is. But Houston also just beat Auburn, by the way, in a bowl game. Well, in case anyone's wondering how they stack up against the SEC, so far it's AAC 1 and SEC 0. So let's see about going on a little 2-0 run here. Well, first of all, I'm saying. I think the defense is going to be fine. Listen, if Desmond Ridder comes out, throws a turnover, they fumble, a kickoff, a muffed punt, and Bama gets an easy score and you get that quick 7-0, 14-0. I don't think that's going to happen, but Teddy, it would be ignorant to say in the biggest moment of all time, and you could say, look, they're playing with house money. I don't think Cincinnati thinks that. I don't think Desmond Ridder thinks that. I don't think Luke Fickell, nobody thinks that. This team's coming out there. They want to put their best foot forward. Like you said, take that punch. And you listen, you can't stumble when you get hit. Because if you do, you're finished.
Also, one more thing, Ted, I'll finish up with this. Don't let the moment get too big for you. Because a team like this who hasn't been here before, it's the biggest game in program history. Don't let the moment get too big for you. Be happy you're there, but show the world why you're there as well. Did you want to say something?
You just literally said it. You literally just said it. I was just saying, don't be overwhelmed in the moment.
My bad.
That's the problem. Alabama expects to be here. They're all about business. Saban will have them so businesslike.
It's like the Patriots.
Listen, and I understand Cincinnati's mindset. The coaches are going to say all the right things. The players are going to say all the right things. They're going to do all the right things. They know why they're there to win too. They're not there to be like, hey, we're just here to prove a point or here to win. No,
they're there to win.
They're here to win. But here's the thing. That can evaporate really quick when you're playing Alabama. And you can get sucked in the moment when there's 80,000 people. And now there's so much more pressure because here's the thing. When Cincinnati really played in a big game? When's the last time Cincinnati when these kids
Notre
had
Dame.
all the spotlight? Because here's the thing, it's like the Super Bowl at 3:30. No one's watching anything else. Well, it sucks.
The one game I would say would be Notre Dame, and they took care of business.
Well, like I said, no one. But here's the thing, because it's New Year's, it's unfortunate, but there's no other big game on TV or anything that's important that day other than that game at 3:30. Everyone is going to.
That's the respect I think Cincinnati thinks that they've earned after winning 23 out of 24.
So now you got
they know that they belong there.
So let's see what happens.
And here's listen. Let me finish on this point, so then you can move on to the Michigan. You'll know what type of Cincinnati or what type of game this will be in the first 7 minutes of the game. You'll know it because if you watch any of Alabama's bowl games or the games where they start the season off against like a USC or Miami, it's 14-0 before they blink of an eye. You'll know if Cincinnati's up or if it's 0-0 and you're like, all right, Cincinnati, because you build confidence. It's like the John Madden thing about Little Giants. They might beat you 99 times out of 100, but it's one time. And the longer the game stays closer, you know this in all sports, boxing, anything, the longer the match goes, the more confidence the underdog builds. That's why they always say knock the underdog out early because they start building. It's like March Madness. The longer those 16 seeds and 15 stay longer in the game, they build confidence and pressure builds on the champ.
Just roll with the punches, baby. That's all you got to do. Roll with the punches. Well, this game has the makings of a lot of fireworks. The night game has a completely different feel to it.
This is all Joe game.
This is
a Joe game.
This is going to be where the boys become men. This is the type of game. If you like physical play, here's the thing. These two games have contrasting styles. If you like fireworks, if you like big plays, if you like stars, I'm not saying these two teams don't have stars, but then the Cincinnati-Bama game is your type of dinner. If you like old school football, blood, sweat, tears for 60 minutes, it's going to be a back and forth, low-scoring game, then that's the game that's going to be going on tomorrow night in the great state of Florida, in the Orange Bowl. And it's going to be, I know like everybody says, why do I ask this question? Because everybody's talking about the same thing with this game. We know what these two teams like to do well. We know that these two teams like to run the ball. We know that these two teams like to dominate the line of scrimmage and have dominant defenses. It comes down to, believe it or not, the two quarterbacks that are very, I would say the last time we saw Stetson Bennett, he looked lost. He looked like he had a struggling day at the office. Cade McNamara, last time we saw him, he didn't really have to do much because of the fact that they were kicking the crap out of the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Ohio State Buckeyes. But that's where I'm coming down to with this. That's the biggest thing for me in this game because both of these teams are so eerily similar that you know what they're going to do. You know their strengths. They're going to do it. It comes down to which of the quarterbacks is going to make the play. Like we talk about Ted, Carson Wentz. We talk about guys like Jimmy G in the NFL. What quarterback is going to make the play and play at a higher level for their team to advance? Joe, I'll start with you. Is it Stetson Bennett or is it Cade McNamara?
It's 100% Cade McNamara, who, by the way, was highly recruited coming out of high school. Bama.
So I'm surprised you say 100%.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I'll get to Stetson Bennett on the back end of what I've got to say. Don't you worry about that. Listen, Cade McNamara decided he'd rather go ride the pine in Michigan and sit behind lesser talent than he would in Alabama. I think that was a smart move for him. Earlier this year, there was a lot of talk about what you just said, the fact that Hassan Haskins is basically the entire offense for this team. Another guy, just based on what he did against Ohio State, 169 yards, 5 touchdowns.
They're going to have two running backs that right now Haskins has 1288.
Yeah.
And then the kid David Corum has 940. So you're gonna have two guys on the ground getting 1,000 yards.
Yeah. Again, that's what this team is all about. So listen, Cade McNamara is very much, he's like a Mac Jones, but without the accuracy. He only hits about 65%, but in his college career, 20 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions. This guy doesn't turn the ball over. He doesn't make mistakes. He knows what he's supposed to do. Get the ball to the running backs. When he throws the football, again, he doesn't turn it over. I think that's super important. Stetson Bennett, if you were following last year, all Georgia and Georgia media and Georgia fans said was that Stetson Bennett was basically a walk-on, no talent. JT Daniels, when he got out there, that was going to be, then they would be great. And then this year, after Daniels got hurt, they started singing Stetson Bennett's praises. This guy's a backup quarterback, like a college backup quarterback. You understand? He's undersized. There's never going to be a moment where he wins a game. Cade McNamara went for 383 and a couple of touchdowns against Nebraska. When they needed him to step up, Cade McNamara could do it. You saw Stetson Bennett against Bama. How did that go?
It's funny because these quarterbacks have like very similar numbers. McNamara has 2,700 yards, 15 touchdowns, 4 picks. Bennett has 2,300, but has 24 touchdowns and 7 picks. And that's the thing with me when it comes to Stetson Bennett. We haven't had to see Stetson Bennett. I think it's 100% a Stetson Bennett, Joe. I'll go the complete opposite because Stetson Bennett, all throughout this year, hasn't really had to do much because they've dominated games right off the bat that you never had to see Stetson Bennett use his arm.
Thank goodness, because he doesn't have the ability to do it.
But the one game that Stetson Bennett was asked more to do was in the SEC championship game because they met their match in Alabama, and we saw how that went. He looked lost. He looked like like you said, Joe, a backup quarterback. I still like his ability, the dual threat ability that he can extend plays with his legs. But that's what it comes down to for me. And that's why I would say Stetson Bennett. McNamara, he's been – I know his numbers aren't like all off the charts, but when he's been asked to deliver, he's made the throws when needed. It's just they don't really need him as much either. These teams are so similar that it's like, which quarterback do you rather have? It's like you're taking one or the other in the sense of they're the same type of quarterback. To me, it'd be Stetson Bennett because the one moment that I saw from him when they were asked for him to –
that's an insult to Cade McNamara's God-given talent.
Are you serious?
Yeah. You're talking about a 5-star recruit. You just compared him to a walk-on at Georgia.
Well, because of the way that he doesn't have to do as much, kind of similar to Stetson Bennett because –
kind of like Mac Jones?
Kind of like Mac Jones. Doesn't have all the talent in the world, but he delivers. He strides when asked to get your number called. Ted, go on. We just
listen.
I got him all flustered today.
I'm not flustered at all.
He's like you're like Stetson Bennett against freaking Alabama. You're flustered, bro. You don't know how to react.
I'm not. Well, first of all, stop talking nonsense because you're just making up stuff to be funny. It's not even funny. It's.
He's all serious. He's all serious today.
Here's the thing. It's both quarterbacks. It's 50-50. Now, if I had to put more percentage, I did that. Listen, hold on.
It would not be Joe. It would not be Ted.
I've never seen anyone on a sports show ever answer the question 50-50 for both guys. I protest this answer.
I want to protest this, Joe. I want to protest this.
Joe, you might as well have at it. Then make history here. Explain yourself.
Well, hold on. Realistically, are you surprised?
Realistically, I was going to
hold on. Give me 1 second. Are you surprised that Ted would say that answer? Like, we both go 100. Ted's like, I'm going to give it to you both.
No, only a guy with a brain like a Ferrari could possibly come out with this.
The quote of the year, ladies and gentlemen. The quote of 2021.
First of all, I thought about that answer while you both were talking. That's why I said 50-50. All right. My realistic answer was, and first answer was agreeing with Joe. It's McNamara. Because this is the way I look at it. What does Michigan do great? They run the football, average over 225 yards a game rushing, and they pass for over about 225. They're like the most balanced team in college football. It's unbelievable. They're like literally 230 and 230. The reason why I say it's McNamara because I watched Bennett. He can make plays with his arm and his leg. He threw for over 324 yards against Alabama. He threw for 3 touchdowns. Yeah, he threw for 2 picks. Listen, he threw for 2 picks. But here's where I look at
stats.
Jordan Davis who won the Defensive Player of the Year, Benerick Award, which surprisingly thought the kid from Alabama or the kid from Michigan could have won it. But whatever. He's a load in the middle of that thing, all right? I don't know if Michigan's going to be able to move him and run the football. If you watch the game in the SEC championship game, Alabama didn't beat Georgia by running the football. They beat him because Bryce Young was able to throw the football all over the field. Now, I know they don't have the weapons at Michigan like Alabama does with Mechie and Jamison Williams. But if Michigan is going to win this football, it's going to be in the arm of McNamara making the throws on play action because they're going to run the football. They're going to stick to what they do, but they're not going to be able to grind, I believe, like they did against Ohio State and run the football up and down the field. You're going to be able to have big plays in the passing game. And I've seen Bennett do it because I feel like Georgia has more weapons on the outside, and I trust the weapons and the speed of the SEC. And Stetson Bennett playing in bigger games, all right? McNamara didn't win the game against Ohio State. They just ran the football all over Ohio State, and they ran it down their throat.
Yeah.
They could have ran for 500 yards if that game kept going. There was nothing Ohio State could do to stop the running game, all right?
Also, to add to your point, Ted.
Go ahead.
Also, to add to your point, both of your points, actually, the weakness of that defense, of that Georgia defense, is their secondary.
Is their secondary because they lost four starters.
The D line has been.
The NFL, listen, they lost 4 starters to the NFL draft. Their front seven is their pride and joy. Linebacker, Nakobe Dean is unbelievable. They have pass rushers. They're going to come up and stop the run. And so that's why I agree with you. Because here's the thing. Look at the spread. Look at how everyone looks at the game the same way we've talked about the other game. You give Georgia and Alabama the favor. You give the SEC the power. You just feel like they got more talent. So if Michigan's going to pull off the upset, because it is kind of an upset, even though they're the 2 seed and Georgia's the 3 and they're a 7-point underdog, McNamara's got to be able to make throws in the game, play action big throws. Got to take them over the top because there was an opportunity early in that game against Ohio State. If you remember, Michigan jumped up 7-0. They got the ball back real quick. And Michigan had a chance to go up 14-0, and McNamara's going in triple coverage. It got picked, and I'm like, oh man, they blew their opportunity to really stick it to Ohio State. And I thought maybe Ohio State would come back. But the reason why Michigan was able to run the football, I don't know if they're going to be able to run the football as efficiently. And that's why I agree with you, Joe, that McNamara's got to play a bigger role in this game for them to advance to the national championship more so than Stetson Bennett.
Michigan lost to Michigan State, only loss of the year. Hassan Haskins had just 59 yards. It was only 3 games this season where he didn't get into the end zone. That game, Cade McNamara went for 383 yards, career high, 44 passing attempts. In his last 3 Big Ten games, 67% completion rate, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. Again, this is a guy who's like a legit quarterback. This guy's the real deal.
Well, they got a
Stetson
5-star
Bennett,
freshman that they use as well, too.
Absolutely, and they should, and that's why you bring in big talent. That's what you do. But Stetson Bennett is Rudy.
He is Rudy. He is.
What do you want me to tell you? Rudy,
I love Rudy. Rudy makes me cry every time, Joe.
He makes me cry all the time.
He's Rudy, but no one's. Listen, when
Rudy
Doug
got carried off the field, Joe. Rudy got carried off the field. So if Stetson Bennett wins this game and then can beat.
He's going to be carried off the field in a stretcher.
Oh, Joe.
Jesus, Joe.
Courtesy of Hutchinson. That's what's gonna happen.
The negativity.
I'm just joking. He was asking for it.
I know. I'm only kidding.
I like McNamara a lot. I'll be honest.
Yeah, you are big.
I really do
Michigan,
like him.
Look, we all talk about Georgia's defense. Michigan's defense ain't no slouches either. I mean, you got Hutchinson and David Ojabo, who's probably the best duo of pass rushers in the country.
Combined 25 sacks this season.
25 sacks. And, 10th in the country, giving up yards per game, 224, or they're averaging 224 yards on the ground. So that's their strength. And then, like you said about Georgia, they're first in almost every major category. Points per game, 9.5. It would have been a lot less if they didn't get demolished by Alabama. Yards allowed, 254. 5th in sacks, 41. And then, like I said, they're a 7.5-point favorite. I think the key in this game, too, for Georgia is going to be their best offensive weapon, Brock Bowers. He's a freshman tight end. Probably should have won the award for the best tight end in college football this year. He's been unbelievable. He's their best offensive weapon. But you also got James Cook. Literally looks like Dalvin Cook, who's been unbelievable too, and Samir White. Both. I mean, this is literally you couldn't have asked for a more identical matchup between two teams.
And Michigan's
both have
offensive line
quarterbacks that are very similar with each.
Award.
Hold on. Both have quarterbacks that are very similar. Both have head coaches that desperately need a championship under their resume. You got a great running attack in both dynamic duos in the backfield. You have some weapons on the outside, but this is a nitty-gritty type, punch you in the mouth type game for 60 minutes. And their defenses, I mean, which defense gives up the big play? That's what it comes down to, because those are the two strengths. Which defense gives up the big play? And it could be more likely that it could be Georgia, because that secondary has been vulnerable this year.
Do you know 3 of the 4 teams in the playoffs here, you know the 3 I'm talking about, have 40% of the 5-star recruits in the nation are on those 3 teams. 40% of those guys. This is like an all-star game of college football players.
So what do we got?
What you're getting here?
Who's playing in Indianapolis? Me and Joe both had Cincinnati. Do you have Bama, Ted? What's the national championship?
SEC rematch.
I got Georgia, and I'm sorry, I will never root for. I'm a Big Ten fan. I will not be rooting for Michigan. I'm an Ohio State guy. We don't do that. I'm going with the Georgia Bulldogs. A rematch in the Peach Bowl from last year's classic, a classic actually last year between Cincinnati and Georgia. I'm going with the rematch, Cincinnati versus Georgia in Indianapolis.
I'm going to pick the Power Five's worst nightmare scenario. It is Cincinnati versus Michigan for the national championship, and I think Michigan.
We're not going to talk. No, we're not going to make our national.
I'm not going to make a prediction.
We will talk about our national.
I'll say right now, I think Michigan is going to handle Georgia a little bit more than I think what people think is going to happen. I think that's actually going to be a wider margin of victory than Cincinnati's upset of Bama.
Joe, this is what I asked Trevor. What team would you rather be right now? Would you rather be Georgia, pissed off, coming off an embarrassing loss against Alabama, where everyone's like saying, wow, you guys are not that good. What happened to you guys?
I mean,
hold on. Jesus.
Stop answering your question right away. I would say Georgia. I wouldn't even think about it. It would be Georgia.
I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to Joe. The second part of it, Joe, was would you rather be Michigan, coming off one of your historic biggest wins? We're on a high where you're due for a lull. Which team would you rather be?
It's an easy question.
Wait, why am I due for a lull, though, if I'm Michigan? I'm riding high. Listen, I'm the biggest Michigan hater on the planet, and I also hate Ohio State. How do you like that? I'm one of those people that doesn't like either of those programs.
Yeah, because you're probably a UConn fan.
Michigan finds ways to lose big games, whether it's college basketball, Chris Webber, anybody, or whether it's pick any season where Michigan finds a way to blow it, and then just historically can never win the big game against Ohio State.
You could say the same for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Absolutely. Listen, but I don't want to be Georgia, because here's what happens. If you get beat by Michigan, people are like, you weren't that good. Right? Bama exposed you as frauds, and then Michigan beat you. You weren't that good. That's what people are going to say if they lose. If they win, right, and maybe even convincingly over Michigan, they got to go rematch a team that just kicked the living crap out of them.
Good.
That's a nightmare scenario if you're Georgia, because it's just going to put you right back where you were, the second best team in the SEC. That sucks.
It would be just like, same old Georgia.
Yes.
That's all it would be.
Why would you expect anything different?
But you're right about both teams, Michigan and Georgia. Both teams have had a history of coming up short in the big moments. We'll see what happens. Something's got to give tomorrow, because these two teams, one team's going home and one team's going to Indy for a right to win a national championship. By the way, Joe's favorite team is North Texas. How can I ever forget that?
Anyway. Eagles, baby. Wah, wah.
Did you just hear that, Ted?
I heard it.
It's my Eagle call.
I don't even know what the hell that was.
Like
Speaking, what's up? What were you saying?
Sounded like the Philadelphia Eagles picking up the Giants and dropping them on a 4.
Well, like I said, if you want to hear from Giants talk, then you could go check out our last show, as we just talked the final time of the 2021 season for the New York Football Giants. We're done talking about that because we're going to be talking about the positives that's been going on in the NFL season. And there is a hell of a slate of games this weekend. And boy, oh boy, there's a lot of playoff caliber matchups and playoff caliber teams right now that are big underdogs. I'm going to give you the teams right now. These are the teams. You're going to tell me which underdog has the best chance to become victorious and shut those bettors up. The Dolphins are a plus 3.5 underdog. Bengals are +5 underdog against the Chiefs. Dolphins play the Titans. Raiders are plus 6.5 against the Colts. The Cardinals are a 5.5 underdog against the Boys. Ravens are a 3.5 underdog against the Rams. And the Steelers on Monday Night Football against the Cleveland Browns. So I'll start with Joe. Who do you see as this season winds down? Which playoff team, underdog I should say, has the best chance to win on Sunday?
I think the Titans do, to be honest.
No, they're not an underdog.
I don't mean the Titans. I'm sorry. I meant the Dolphins, not the Titans. Look, the Titans would win the AFC South if they win or if the Colts lose. And I think that's how they're going to get in. I think they're both going to lose. And I think that's how the Titans are going to clinch. Look, the Dolphins right now are playing as well as anybody in football is. This was the team. Man, this is the team that they thought they were going to have when the season started. It didn't go that way. Don't forget, Tua was out for a couple of games in there. So once he got back and they got on track, I mentioned this last time, a historic month in November, completion percentage-wise. He's continued to play well into December. I think the Dolphins are poised to keep that going and really make it a race in the AFC East, which is crazy considering where things started and where they've ended up now for all three of those teams and the Titans to boot.
You're a Titans fan too. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I am bummed about it. Believe me, but every scenario in my head, it seems like the Dolphins are going to win this football game.
Nah.
All right, Ted, you say no.
They couldn't do anything offensively the other night. It was awful. They had one drive of over 85 yards, of over 46 yards, and 4 of the plays.
Their defense is good enough to defense.
Yeah, you got to score points. Titans will beat them. They'll knock them back.
Hey, guess what? The defense scored points the other night.
This is an easy answer. Come on, Joe. This is easy. It's the Steelers on Monday Night Football. Big Ben's last game home at Heinz Field. Are you kidding me? Against the Browns. You know it's a disaster for the Browns. That's how the season's going to be. The Browns are going to lose. The place is going to be a frenzy. Come on. You think Eli was going to lose his last game as a New York Giant? That place will be rolling. The Steelers will be on fire. Big Ben will throw for 350 yards. They'll have 2 touchdowns and a pick. The Steelers are going to beat the Browns on Monday Night Football. That's how it's going to go. It's exactly who the underdog.
I'm actually surprised you picked you didn't pick the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm actually surprised.
Listen, for me about this, it's about – listen, I like the Bengals. I think they're scary offensively. It's about consistency. This for me, because they're home, it's going to be a great test for them. You know, the Chiefs are on a roll. I believe they won 7-8 straight. I know the Dolphins.
They're 11-4. They're on 8 straight. They're on an 8-game winning streak. I know.
I think the Giants almost beat them. It's incredible, but that's what the NFL season.
Who beat them?
The Giants almost beat the Chiefs.
I never heard of them.
Stop. Okay.
They're not
the Raiders. Here's the other thing. If Colt McCoy's not playing for the Raiders, Colt McCoy, oh my God, get it together. If Carson Wentz is not playing for the Colts this week because of COVID protocols, don't be shocked that the Raiders can pull off the victory. The Raiders, as much as like a month ago, we were like, they got no shot after they lost the Giants. They're right. They're right there. There's a very likelihood that they can go in and win this week, and then depending on who they play in Week 18, pull off the miracle. The AFC. The difference between the Colts, who I believe right now are the 5th seed, and the 11th seed is 1 game. So you could be 11th seed right now and could be in the playoffs with 1 win depending on the situation. Miami went from, I believe, 10 to in the playoffs. So with their win the other day, the Ravens. Listen, I don't know if the Ravens are going to be able to pull it off. They got to go to the Rams. Lamar's going to be coming off of an injury, COVID. They got so many guys out. The Rams have been on fire. Listen, the team I'm really interested though.
Baltimore's home.
Okay. Well, it doesn't really, even though.
I know.
If you ask me what of the teams that you told me though, the 2 biggest games that I would have importance to me would be the Cardinals game against the Cowboys and would be the Bengals. The Bengals because another prove-it game. They're young, they're talented. This is where we thought Kansas City was a couple years ago. This would be a humongous win for Kansas City. I meant for the Cincinnati Bengals if they could win at home and really take on the Chiefs, because the Chiefs right now look like the best team in football. And then for me, the Cardinals. We were looking at them a month ago when we were doing our rankings every week, and we're talking about teams like Cardinals number one, Cardinals number one. They're undefeated. They're just good. They had that tough loss to Green Bay, but we didn't really knock them for that. We're like, hey, just Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers. Now they've lost 2, 3 in a row. They lose again to the Cowboys. Where are the Cardinals at? Where are they as a team? Were they just fool's gold, and did they get us all hyped up for the first 2.5 months to realize that they're really no different than any other team? So for me, the Cardinals, big prove it game against the Dallas Cowboys this week. Those are my 2 biggest games on the slate for me that have value and importance to me, because all 4 teams are going to be in the playoffs. But if the Chiefs lose, I don't think you look back poorly on the Chiefs, right?
No.
I think you gain more by the Bengals winning than you lose by the Chiefs lose. For me, if the Cowboys win, you're like, all right, well, whatever, the Cardinals. But if the Cardinals win, you can build something off of that. And I think I gain more knowledge and more understanding of who these teams are by if the Cardinals and Bengals can win their games than I would do if they lose.
I would also say, Joe, I would say the Dolphins. I'm very impressed with the way the Dolphins. I know it hasn't been pretty offensively, but they do the things right when needed. I mean, they have a star in Jalen Waddle. They have an emerging star with Jalen Waddle right there. They have the pieces offensively, but that defense is carrying them to victories. This is it's like Dallas right now. These defenses, man, they are scary. They cause turnovers, they wreak havoc, and for 60 minutes, it's a struggle for teams that have to face these guys. Because right now the Dolphins, they're 1-7. 1-7. We're talking about Brian Flores is going to get fired. Tua getting moved on. Where they're at 8-7 right now. And they still have a chance to possibly win the AFC East if somehow Buffalo and New England have an epic collapse and we're shaping up for a 3-team race next week. The Dolphins play the Patriots, I think the Dolphins play the Patriots to close out the season.
Home next week.
So, think about it. I mean, the Dolphins have been playing great. That really showed on Monday night. I know that Ian Book is a rookie, and he looked like, or not a rookie, but he looked like a quarterback that is not.
Yeah, what not a rookie? He's a rookie. He played in the game. Yeah, bro. He was the quarterback for Notre Dame last year.
I forgot. Whatever. Anyway,
holy cow!
Yeah, I know. We all make mistakes.
So Joe, if it was me before when I was saying something like Colt McCoy and something, looked at me like I had 6 heads. Though when he's talking about Ian Book, didn't even know he's a rookie from Notre Dame last year. I mean, Jesus, we just talk college football. You watch college football your life, you don't even know. They said it about 12 times in the game cast.
That's how I forgot about Ian Book so fast.
Listen, Miami hasn't played anyone in the last 7 weeks. The best team they played was the Giants.
By the way, you won't see Ian Book ever again in an NFL football game. I don't see any scenario where that happens. I think he proved that didn't go well. No. Jake Fromm too. No.
Joe, you know what's amazing?
You don't belong there.
How can you be the winningest quarterback in Notre Dame? How can Jake Fromm? How can you lead your team to championships, be one of the best quarterbacks in Georgia, and then go to an NFL game and just be awful? Like you can't complete a pass. Like the basic fundamentals of football, you can't correlate and translate from the college level. At the highest level, SEC football, where every week you're playing against NFL talent, to now you were 1 for 4 for -4 yards. You can't do that if you try.
A whole different ball.
Listen, if you're not like uber talented, like a Kyler Murray or a Lamar Jackson, you have to have like a prototypical NFL quarterback body, or you're not going to cut it in this league. Mike Glennon has lasted as long as he has because he's.
I don't want to hear the name Mike Glennon.
I'm only going to say the name because the reason the guy's got a job is he's 6'4", 230. He's a long, tall guy. That's the actual evolution of the quarterback neck. That your neck would be that much longer, like a submarine periscope. So that you can see over the defense. That's what you want in a quarterback. I think guys it's too small. You're not talented enough to make up for the fact that you're not tall enough and big enough to be an NFL quarterback. Again, I mean, it's not like everybody didn't know what Jake Fromm did before this year. Buffalo took him with a 5th-round flyer. He was the 4th-string quarterback there.
Don't worry, the Giants are always there, Mr. Reliable, to take off your bench players.
There's a reason all these teams lost quarterbacks this year, and nobody else signed him off Buffalo's practice squad. I mean, if he was that good, anybody at any point this year could have called New Orleans and been like, hey, I'll give you a 6th rounder for Ian Book. Game? Nobody came calling for those guys. Nobody wanted those guys to be their quarterback. So nothing special found and nothing special lost here. It's nice that you gave those guys a chance. Listen, I'll make this point. I always do. I know it's not practical, but Colin Kaepernick and Tim Tebow are both available for any team that needs a competent quarterback who knows how to win NFL games.
You say Tebow was a competent quarterback? Wow.
Went 9-7 and won a playoff game.
I remember when I was in my freshman year of college. That's when the Giants won a Super Bowl. So
listen, plain and simple, and to this day I'll never get this, but going 9-7 and winning a playoff game is not easy to do. If you're Mitch Trubisky or you're Tim Tebow, that's quickly discounted for a number of factors. If Deshaun Watson did it, everybody like, dude, he's so great. And what? Did the same thing. What? I'll stop. Dude, the way we evaluate people is so stupid. Dude, again, if you can look at this season and be like, well, we don't have any kind of readout on Lance. Yeah, you do. He hasn't learned any of that offense. Why they haven't used him? Justin Fields. Well, with that Matt Nagy offense and the offensive line, right? Pick another guy. Trevor Lawrence. Now there's all garbage all around him. Garbage everywhere. Right? And then it's like Daniel Jones. He sucks. What?
I get what he's saying.
I don't understand. Wait, how again, dude? It's like, well, I've seen enough of this guy. That guy, the jury's still out. I'll let you know. Okay, Mel Kiper Jr., tell me more. Give me a break with this crap. Dude, listen, the Giants stink. Everybody's upset about it. I get it. Stay off of Facebook, dude. Stop airing your grievances there. Festivus is over. You know what I'm saying? This is the time of the year where I highly suggest if you're a neurotic Yankees or Giants fan, here's your New Year's resolution. Call a therapist. Get a weekly session. Just get a week. You want to be angry about Brian Cashman and Dave Gettleman? Hire a I don't want to read about it when I go on Facebook. I don't want to hear it.
That was beautiful.
I don't want to hear it.
That's all I got. It's my last rant of the year.
Well, as you just said, it's the last rant of the year. Well, the 2021 season of sports will be coming to an end, and we're moving on to 2022. A lot of great happened this year. We had fans back enjoying some great highlights, great plays, great games. Anything you guys want to say about the 2021 year in review as we move on to 2022?
Yeah,
I wish there wasn't so much parity in the year that betting became legal in our state.
How much money did you lose?
All my sports teams stink.
Lost enough.
Let's see. It's 2021. My sports teams stunk. They didn't win anything. Failures, losers.
Not even close, right? Like eliminated from the playoffs way too soon.
I mean, the Yankees are like my only hope, and they're just like blue balls because they get you all excited, and then all of a sudden they fail to connect. And what else is new? Can't win anything, so that's okay. Gotta go. What's it? A decade? The
Giants? Yeah, it's going on. Yeah,
the Rangers. The Rangers are playing well, but hockey's frozen with COVID. You got Yankees stink. Mets stink. Orlando Magic have the worst odds to win the NBA championship, so they stink.
It pretty much seems like Ted's just had a really bad
2021 stunk. I mean, what was good about this year? I had a better 2020 year than I had 2021. Trev left me. Trev left in 2021, January 21st. I mean, maybe the best time was when he came up to visit my dad and surprised him for his birthday, but it only rained for 5 of the 7 days he was here. It was only like July 4th week. I only had the week off, and all I did was rain. But whatever, that was fun. I don't know. I went to Florida more times this year than I ever went. That was good. It's nice to feel 84 degrees weather. Yeah, I don't know. What thrilled in sports this year? I don't know. It's good to see fans back.
Are you
I mean, honestly, the last time the Giants won was when I was there.
Were you surprised? Were you surprised that Tom Brady was a Super Bowl champ this year?
No, it's great. And here's the thing: their team. You want to pick a team that's going to win the Super Bowl? Go find the team that's the healthiest going into the playoffs. You think about when the Giants won the Super Bowls. You think about the Bucs last year. Some of the teams. Go find the team that's got the healthiest team going in. Right? That's the key. The healthiest team. The Buccaneers were getting healthier and healthier as the playoffs, and they just kept building. And you could see the storm. You could see the storm brewing. So, and I mean, it was great. I mean, you have no idea who's going to win the Super Bowl this year. You know, the odds are right now the Chiefs and the Packers. But come on, would you be shocked if the Bengals were in there? Would you be shocked if the Bills were in there? The Patriots, the Cowboys. Oh my God, that'll be my year. The Cowboys and the Patriots. My God, I'll turn the TV off and watch figure skating.
Probably watch Diner Drive-ins and Dives.
But
Joe, what would you?
I don't have an exciting thing. My college football team Gators stunk.
Listen, I nailed many predictions this year. I feel really good about my lot in sports. I love the Giants and the Yankees. I've said this before. I don't cry about it, and it doesn't change my mood. You know, a long time ago when the Yankees, you know what happened? You know what happened, Ted? The Yankees won 3 championships in 4 years from 96 to 2000.
I remember those years. Those were good years.
They were for high pressure for me as a fan. Because after 98, I thought, they won, the game ended. They won the World Series, and I was like, oh, man, we got to do this again next year. We're going to have to do better than 125 wins, or it's going to be like a step back, which it was, even though they won a World Series again. And so we got so used to winning, just like the way the Mariano Rivera effect, where we expect every reliever to come out, strike out the side on 9 pitches, and then go home for the night. I stopped enjoying championships. I started feeling like the Yankees, where you don't even enjoy it. It's just like, we got to win another one. How are we going to win another one? And you just focus on that, and you don't even get to celebrate them anymore. I think that's what made the Giants championship so special, was the randomness, the one-offness of those teams 5 years apart to get, hot and win Super Bowls. But yeah, my teams all are terrible in every single sport that I watch. It's upsetting.
It was definitely a down year for our sports teams. The Yankees, Ohio State, 2 teams that I had high expectations for. And ultimately, the results. Let me down. The Lakers let me down. The Giants, they're just god-awful. It's just been
Got to give a quick shout-out, of course, to COVID for just wreaking havoc everywhere with sports, ruining things.
And it's back again, and we're going back to 2020 all over again.
NC State trying to get a bowl game in. UCLA was like, nah, we're not coming. It's COVID.
We're not coming. Have a good night. It's like, damn.
Yeah, it's
4 hours,
it's
4
bad.
hours before the game time. That's when you make your decision. You know what? Warn the team, like, hey, listen, we're dealing with some stuff. Just kind of give you a heads up.
They were like, we probably weren't coming, and we're definitely not coming.
Did you see what the NC State coach called NCAA?
Like I say, you could always rely on the good old West Coast to do the right thing, because the West Coast is just great.
What are you talking about, the West Coast?
Because UCLA, they're from the West Coast. They let a team down. Once again, the West Coast.
Dude, the West Coast is out there doing their own thing.
Yeah.
It's like tomorrow. It's like yesterday over there. You know what I mean? Dude, by the time they find out about what's happening over here, it's useless. All their games are on at like 10 o'clock at night. Nobody cares about the West.
All kidding aside, as the president of Clover Class, do you have any last message of 2021 for everybody going into the new year? Hell,
I do. Here's a couple messages. If you want to advertise, hit us up, because we'd love to throw your logo right up here somewhere. So that's number one. Number two, we appreciate the love and the support. We appreciate you sharing, subscribing, and visiting clovercrestmedia.com. In addition to this amazing show, there's a million more. Make sure you subscribe. Our YouTube channel blew up this year. We've got about 330 subscribers now. Start of the year at 30. So things are going well. We've gotten all
Things
sorts
are
of
looking up.
They really are. We've gotten like some like awards from YouTube for our content and how quick it's grown. And yeah, so subscribe and review all these shows if you're watching and you think they're awesome.
Very well.
And God bless you.
Absolutely. And from the Keys to the City, the Keys brothers, I'll speak for us. Everybody be safe. It's a rough time right now, so everybody be safe. Enjoy with your families. Be smart. And try to make the most of 2021 going into the new year. We will be back next year recapping Week 17 and also recapping the college football playoff. Plus, we'll be talking the final week of the longest reigning NFL season will be coming to an end, and we will have all of our results for who's making the playoffs and who's staying home and getting ready for draft day. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Keys to the City. We are presented by Clovercrest Media. We're streaming on all social media platforms at Keys to the City. So comment, like, subscribe, or share. Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City. See you next year.
Yeah. Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.